Hey, what's up? How you doing tonight?
I'm awesome. You doing okay?
I am honored and privileged to do this interview with you for the Hype magazine. I've been a fan of you for a very long time, so
Oh,
I
thank
appreciate you taking time.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now, for people who may not be familiar, can we tell them who you are and where you're from?
Absolutely. I am Wendy Day. I run a company called Rap Coalition. It's a not-for-profit organization. And then I also run a for-profit organization called Power Moves. I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I
Okay.
am a New Yorker living in Atlanta.
So you've been all over the world,
I have.
with this music. You've spoken at some of the biggest conferences. You're known as a person that gives a lot of free games. So what made you decide you wanted to get into the music industry in the first place and pursue this as your career?
You know, I started listening to rap in 1980. Most of you weren't alive yet. And it was the very early days of rap. And I loved the energy and the passion in the music. And I just felt like I felt connected to it. You know, like
Yep.
rap is the music. And to this day, rap is the music that I listen to when I'm happy,
Yeah.
you know, to keep me happy, when I'm sad, to cheer me up.
Yeah.
Shit, I even fuck to rap. Like, I love rap. So
Right.
I started Rap Coalition in 1992 as my way of giving back to the artists that brought me so much happiness.
Now, when you first started Rap Coalition, you gave all the game away when a lot of people probably said, you shouldn't have.
Still
Like,
do.
what made you and your team decide to do that and take that risk to give away this valuable game that has changed everybody's
I,
life
I
that's came
just
across it?
I just feel like information should be free. You
Yeah.
know, I'm somebody that's overly educated. I've got an undergraduate degree from college and then 2 master's degrees. And I paid a shit ton of money for my education. And I just felt like it's not fair. Like, I shouldn't have that advantage over somebody else, you
Yeah.
know? So when I came into the music industry, I really started by educating artists. And I just
Right.
wanted them to have the advantage over, like, you know, non-artists,
Yeah.
like labels. And as more and more non-artists started gravitating towards my information, I realized that I don't care who shares the knowledge with the artist as long as somebody does.
Yeah.
So if it comes from me, great. If it doesn't, as long as somebody on their team knows how to do this properly, I'm happy.
Now, you've when you first started out, did you have affiliations in the industry already, or is it all
No.
self-taught, or
Yes.
relationships you built?
It's everything that I built. When I came into music, I didn't even know how it worked.
Oh, wow.
I just woke up one day and said, this is what I want to do. And when I told other people that this is what I want to do, they basically said I was nuts.
Yeah.
And I always knew it would be a not-for-profit. I always knew that we wouldn't charge for it. I don't really do a lot of interviews to talk about people that I've pulled out of bad deals. I talk more about the positive and putting people into good deals and how people can make money with their own music.
Yeah.
So it was sort of me banging my head and then teaching people what I was doing so they wouldn't have to bang their heads.
Now, and you've always been someone who's given that information away. Like, you're so humble. I mean, I've been watching you for a while, and I've watched the progression of when you did the weekly YouTube shows to where you're at now with Cheat Code. And, it was always just genuine love and support. Like, you gave us some free game about me and Stop Beef from Radio Printful. We get all our merch because of you you talked about it on YouTube. And it really...
too.
Now, when you first started giving this game away, like, I understand you had some connections to lawyers, and instead of you keeping the information,
I made the connections. I didn't have them.
How did you make those connections? It's a very interesting story of how you went about that, and what made you decide to share that with the people?
It's a little crazy.
Got to be crazy to make it, yeah.
Yeah. So there was a magazine. There still is. There was a magazine called Billboard.
Yeah.
And Billboard magazine covers the business side of the music industry. And I went to Billboard magazine and I found entertainment attorneys who were like at the top of their game, like the most successful guys. And then I just started to stalk them one by one. And, you know, you can't just call a really well-connected, successful person in the music industry and say, hi, this is nobody, take my call.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So I found their pictures in Billboard, found out their addresses, and went and stood outside of the building at like on their way into work, at lunchtime, and at the time like 7 o'clock when most people were going home. And finally, you know, after days and days and days, sometimes weeks and weeks and weeks of doing this, I'd recognize the person from their photo and just start walking along with them, whether it was to the subway or to catch a cab, and just explaining what I was doing. And they were so, first of all, they were so amazed. And maybe because I'm female, maybe if a guy were stalking them, it would be a little different.
Yeah, it'd been a little,
I didn't scare them. I didn't scare them. But they were like, wow, you're really doing this? It's like, yeah, I am. And then once I had enough people that I was working with, lawyers, they started introducing me to their friends and their relationships. And I didn't have to stand outside of buildings in the ice cold snow and the summer heat, you know, trying to stalk people to get them to help.
Yeah, and I mean that information and your tenacity on doing that led to, you know, the deals that we all know and love, the No Limit, the Cash Money. But it took you doing that. Like, I mean, like, I don't think you get the credit that you deserve, because you had to get the know-how to keep those situations from going sideways. So what was for people who's not familiar, what was your part with those two major deals? And, you know, how great does it know that for you to know you did save them from, you know, the industry and all that?
It feels great because I saw so many bad deals in the early 90s that I knew what to ask for and look for. And also, I'm somebody that reads a lot and studies a lot. So I had read a lot of books in other industries about people retaining ownership and masters. And I felt like Lucille Ball, her biography is a great example. Like, I just feel like people that are able to do it in other industries, there's no reason why they can't do it in our industry. You know? And that's
now,
really
you also
to that.
You had a major part in Eminem's early success from the Rap Olympics. So, you know, that story is amazing.
Thank you.
What is the Rap Olympics, and what made you decide to create that? Like,
the Rap
Olympics
was really a battle. And back then, like, rap battles were very popular, but it was always like one artist against another artist facing off. And I thought it would be really cool to have teams, like teams of 5 people that battled whole other teams, so that even if one member like dropped the ball, there was somebody else.
Somebody to help.
So you had to be really dynamite to be able to go against 5 people, you know, 5 people going against 5 people. The reason I did it was twofold. One, I wanted to showcase Eminem's lyrical prowess, but it was also at a time in the mid-90s when gangster rap was becoming popular, and commercial rap was becoming popular, like popping bottles and fucking bitches, and, you know, it was becoming, lyrics were not as important as they once were. And I just wanted to bring attention to lyrics so that people would see the importance of it.
That's dope.
You know?
Now, when I believe you met him at a conference, you know, you got his demo, and you were on the way, you were leaving the place, and something told you to play this record, you know. So,
well,
like,
that something was Rhymefest.
Rhymefest,
It was guilt. He actually guilted me into, because I hated listening to demos. Like, dude, in 31 years, I think I've gotten like 3 really good demos, one of which was Eminem's.
Wow.
And out of the hundreds of thousands that I've gone through, like, I don't even listen to music anymore. That's how few great demos, you know, I've gotten. But I knew at that point in my career, just like I know today, it's not about having great music. It's about building a fan base. So if you've got great music, rather than getting people to listen to your music in the music industry, you should build a fan base. Because when you build a fan base and you prove that there's people that will listen to your music and pay money to see you live and buy your merch, that's really what record labels want to see. So
Yeah,
that's
I always
always
tell
fun.
artists that they're always wanting to get to the fans and all, you know, they want to have those meetings, but you got to build fans. You got to build
Yes.
genuine people that support you.
Yes.
That's the most important part of
Yeah. The
this now.
meetings aren't shit.
Yeah.
Really, you want to be in a position where they come to you. You don't ever want to go to them.
Yeah.
Ever.
Now, what was the first conference or what was the first time you were on a panel? You know, you've been on so
Oh my
many now, it's probably like
God, I don't
waking
know
up,
that I
but what
can
was the first
remember.
one you did?
I would guess to say that it was the Zulu Nation anniversary
Wow.
in
Wow.
1993
Okay.
or 94.
Yeah. Now, did you have an inside relationship with the Zulu Nation, and that's how you got it, or how'd you go about getting
They
that opportunity?
they actually came to me. I built a relationship from that.
Dope.
But I was living in New York at the time, and the Zulu Nation really mattered. So
That's dope.
if you wanted to do something in music, they were kind of one of the gatekeepers,
Yeah.
not the only gatekeeper, but one of the gatekeepers. And they came to me to ask me if I would speak on a panel. And that year I did. And they were so amazed by the energy that I brought and the people that came to hear me speak that they actually asked me to set up their panels for the next 3 years. So for the
That's
next 3
amazing.
years, I got to organize panels at the Zulu anniversary in New York. And then that led me to How Can I Be Down,
Yeah.
which led me to doing my own panels at the ASCAP building for
Yeah.
artists, my own ciphers every Friday at the Musicians Union,
Yeah.
the SEA Awards. I can't even remember all the events that I've done.
Yeah. And it's always free game you're giving, or
Yes.
you're really there to help people. That's what I love about your story is you're at these events and you're the most connected person there, but you're the one they can walk up to. You're the
Yes,
one they can
always.
shake hands. Like now everybody does it because of YouTube and Graham, but you were doing
Right.
that genuinely.
Oh my
What's
God,
one of
yeah.
the What's one of the craziest moments or surprising moments you had when you met somebody at one of these conferences and today they became, do you have anything like that where you got somebody you met or something like that?
Nipsey Hussle.
Woo, salute Nip.
I met Nipsey Hussle at A3C.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, he was calling me, asking me for advice. Should he stay independent or sign to Rick Ross?
Yeah.
And that was really cool,
Yeah. When people, because you have so much game, you have the Rap Coalition? What with the power moves? Like, what's the difference between Rap Coalition, the nonprofit side where we get all this game for free, and then power moves when you do take on clients,
Absolutely.
help them with the career?
My experience in the music industry is that it's really expensive.
Yeah.
So even though I'm giving out free game, you can't have no money in music. It doesn't work. You need money to market and promote and move around and record and, for everything you need to do, everything costs money. And Power Moves is for the artists that already have investors.
Okay.
And like $250,000 and up. So it's really for that next level professional rapper that's ready to go to the, to the big leagues. That's really what Power Moves focuses on. But since we know that not everybody has that kind of budget, in fact, very few do, we give out free game to help people get themselves to a level where they can either move forward with us or without us. I'm not giving out game to find clients.
Right.
I don't care about that. I'm giving out game because I want to see everybody win.
And that's why you wrote your book as well. Like you're an author who is given more game than anything. Was it scary the first time you wrote your book and you took on these issues to give it back to people like us?
Not at all. If you've read the book, you know it's sort of like sitting next to me on the sofa. Like it's like us having a conversation, only I'm not right there. Right.
Yeah.
So I knew that what I was doing was helpful. I'm in the process of updating it right now. And that's been hard to do because everything changes so fast. Like when I wrote the first edition, that was 2011 and things were changing, but not like every 3 months, every 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to update now because I'm so busy with work.
Yeah.
As soon as I update it, it's like time to update it again before I can even put it out. And it's been like the last 3 years have been kicking my ass because I know I want it out there, but it's like I do all this work and then it's time to update it again.
Do people really understand what kind of workload Wendy Day have? Like, we know you're at all these conferences, we know you, but what's your day-to-day kind of look like?
Well, my days are different every day. I mean, I'm up till 3:30 in the morning. I'm back up at 8:30 in the morning. So I sleep 5 or 6 hours a night, roughly. I work 7 days a week until I get tired, and then I'll go and take like 3 days off. But I'm not somebody that works 5 days and takes a weekend. Like that's just out the window, right? It's just I stop when I'm tired, and I'm older now, so I get tired more easily. But every day is different, you know. Like this week, I'm shooting 6 videos with clients, so I'm going to be at all their video shoots. But then in addition to that, I've still got my day-to-day stuff in the office. The difference between then and now is now I have a staff.
Yeah, you got people to help you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it easier? You know, you've started, the technology has advanced and everything the way it is, and you are a leader in the technology, I feel like. So has it become easier for you?
It has gotten easy. I'm a geek. So as soon as something comes out, I'm checking it out. I'm playing with it. I'm real big on ChatGPT right now.
Okay.
I've been playing with that for about 3 months. So for most people, I'm early, but for the world of nerds, I'm late, you know? But ChatGPT is amazing. It's like, not only is it helping me out in terms of the business side of music and writing captions and writing articles and bios, but it's also helping me out in my personal life. Like, it's explained to me like the stages of grief. It's talked about, you know, how to be more effective in with yoga and mindfulness, you know. I'm definitely somebody that meditates, but there's so many different types of meditation that I didn't even know existed. That when I asked GPT, it educated me on what would be best for me and my needs. Like, it's like it knows me. It's like having a personal assistant with no emotion.
Yeah, I think people are scared of stuff because they haven't even done the research yet. But like, I know you're a content creator with Cheat Code. You know, I use Opus Pro. It's an AI aggregator. You put the YouTube link in, and now you've got 15 clips. So it makes it easier for you and stuff like that. I saw also when I was getting ready for this interview, you did something with DJ Sugar that was dope. Like, he showed how the technology of being a DJ and AI is about to intertwine. Like, from your view, how exciting is it to see the capabilities that are coming? Because like what he did with that Marvin Gaye was next level to me.
Yes, it's amazing to me. In fact, I just wrote it down so I could go check it out because I wasn't familiar. And thank you for sharing that, because I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm watching everything that's coming out of AI, and I understand that artists are nervous about their copyrights.
Yeah.
And I understand that labels are very protective of their ownership, so I could see why they'd be upset. But I really love the folks that are embracing it. Grimes is a perfect example. Like, she said, go record any song you want with my voice and just split it with me 50-50. Just don't say anything crazy or I'll have it pulled down. I love that. I love when people embrace technology. Like, look at mixtapes. I remember when mixtapes were shut down by the labels, and the labels said, oh, mixtapes are evil. And then like a year later, they're paying mixtape DJs to put their artists on their mixtape. So it's a little self-serving for labels to get scared, like right off the bat. But I just see a lot of really positive application for AI. I don't want anybody's copyrights to be violated. I'm not so sad to see labels lose money, because I think at the end of the day, they end up winning because they sell more music and more merch when people discover a new artist, whether it's from AI or whether it's from reality. So I just love what people are doing. I'm loving the avatars, like little, I think her name is Little Marquita. Like, I'm just loving what people are doing. And that's not new. I mean, that's for years now.
And that's interesting because you've always been someone we turn to find out if we should be using this outlet, TikTok, or, you know, you've always been a leader in that. So it's great to hear you're not telling people, you know, about going away from AI. But, you know, a lot of people are worried that it may interfere with their copyrights and stuff like that.
Yeah, they are worried.
Are you looking into that in your team, starting to look into how you guys can help with that?
We're actually talking to a lot of lawyers about that, because my first thought was, wouldn't it be cool, like for an artist like YFN Lucci, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool for his label to be able to put out a Lucci album based on, you know, he's behind the wall, so he can't record,
yeah.
but he could write songs, or he could rap songs over the phone, and then somebody could tighten up the music with
Make it
AI
sound better.
to make it sound like he's at Patchwork.
Yeah.
You know, so I reached out to my lawyers to find out, you know, could he do that? And with his permission, yes. Like Fly, who owns the label, Think It's a Game, if he wanted to do that, he has every legal right to do that, you know, provided with Lucci's blessing. Obviously, you'd want the artist involved.
Yeah.
So there's AI for evil, and then there's AI for good.
Yeah.
And I'm really supportive of the AI for good.
That's exciting. Now you definitely, like I said, you're a leader in technology, and what you, Ferrari Simmons and Kingpin are doing right now is just another level of greatness to me. The cheat code, like, I want to thank you personally as someone who's trying to keep artists protected, that this game you give. So
thank you.
I know Ferrari connected it a little bit, but let's give that story about how you three juggernauts came together and formed the cheat code.
It was Ferrari's idea. I've got to give 1,000%, you know, dap to him, because it's not something I would have ever considered doing. You know?
Yeah.
He called me one day around Christmas time, a year and a half ago, and he said, "Hey, would you ever consider doing this?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I don't really have the time, but you know what? That's a really good idea." Because me and him used to talk a lot, and he and Kingpin would talk a lot, and me and Kingpin talked a lot.
Okay. So you guys did have that. Okay.
So he's like, "Let's put all three of us in a room and just shoot the shit." I said, "You know what? Let's try it. Let's do it for a couple months. If it doesn't work, we'll stop. If it works, we'll keep going." And that's what we did. So Ferrari orchestrated it. My team filmed it and started putting it together. Shout out to my team, because they're amazing. Yeah. And it's become what it is today. Like, honestly, Kingpin does the bulk of the work. Once it's edited, he's the one that takes it and chops it up into a million different pieces for social media. Like, what he does is amazing.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Like, going back to the very first episode, good promo versus bad promo, it just showed the different levels of greatness on you. You've got you're the label, you're the independent, watching out, making sure everything makes sense. Kingpin is a legend for DJs, record breaking, and all that. So you've got that different point of view. And then Ferrari is, you know, the radio. So it's a great
promotion guy. Yeah, radio promotion guy. Yeah, like we're such a great team, and we're so different.
Yeah.
And we all have different approaches. You know, the way I break records is different from Kingpin and different from Ferrari. And I think it's great for people to see that there's not one set of rules on how to do this. Like, there's a million ways to have success in the music business. And then we also talk about, like, how to be successful as a human being. Like, we talk about returning phone calls and how to approach people that you don't know. You know, we talk about AI. You know, the episode that just dropped last week was about AI. So it's more than just music skills. I get people all the time saying, "Oh, I own a t-shirt company," or "I own a landscaping company, and I watch the cheat code because I learned so much." And I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, like, how do you put those two together? But it works.
It does. Apparently, it's agnostic to music, and I love that. I love that other people can learn.
And it's impressive that you three were able to commit weekly to this. Like, it's a lot of effort. Like, what's a normal? People don't understand how long it takes to shoot a podcast. They think it's an easy, just turn on the microphone, but it's an actual process. So how long does it usually take for an episode for you?
It's 2 hours of shooting. We shoot 2 episodes at a time, but not every episode comes out, because we're not magical in everything that we say. So if we record an episode and it's kind of bland and we're all just kind of bored and it doesn't have the right energy or vibe, we'll trash it. So we record 2 a week, and then we put out 1 a week.
Okay.
So there's weeks where we don't record because I'm traveling, or, you know, Ferrari just got a new job at Warner Brothers, so he's slammed his work. And Kingpin, if you know, he's out on promo tour, he can't come home to film the cheat code. So we have some in the vault that we're saving just in case we need them.
Yep. And it's smart. Like a lot of podcasts don't understand. Like that's a great strategy. Like get them in the cut. That way, if schedules change or
Yeah.
you got to be somewhere overseas doing a major, it doesn't stop the movement, and it allows you to have stuff in the back waiting on you. So that
Exactly. And honestly though, like how fucked up would it be for us to be telling people how to do stuff and how important consistency is, and then we're not consistent?
yeah.
You know what I
When
mean?
you
Like that's unacceptable.
when you so you knew Kingpin, but when you started the Chico, did you know he was this ball of
Yeah.
energy with like quotables,
Yeah.
like one-liners like that? Because he's a god at podcasting. Like
Yes.
the way he delivers his
Yes.
information, and
He's like
that's
that in real person. He's like that in
yeah,
real life, by the way. Like
yeah.
in person, that's who he is. He's always been that way. I've known him 25 years now, maybe
Mm,
26 years. And he's been my head of promotions for, I mean, he doesn't work for me, he works with me,
yeah,
right? He owns
yeah,
his own company. He owns his own companies, plural with an S. But I hire him for most of my clients, and I have since day one,
yeah,
because
yeah.
he
The
under
best.
promises and over delivers.
Yeah, and he really cares too. Like
Really cares.
he is one of these out here that will really make sure he's doing the posters himself. He's
Yeah.
like he's a goat at what he does.
Yes, he is. He's really special.
Now, with the cheat code, what was your reaction the first time you went viral? You guys have had a lot of viral moments already, but for your team, what was the first time you guys went viral, and how did you react to it? Because it's
I honestly don't remember. We go viral a lot.
yeah, you do.
I don't really remember what it was, and I'm one of those weirdos. I can't watch myself.
Mm,
I can't
yeah,
go back and watch my clips. I can't watch my videos because I'll watch it and say, oh my God, why did I shake my head so much? Or why am I
yeah,
bouncing? Or why did I choose those glasses? Or, oh my God, my hairline's receding. Like, I don't watch it like a normal person. So I just don't do that to myself.
yeah.
So
So there's no.
I can't really tell you, like Kingpin can tell you why we went viral, where we went viral, what we talked about, what cities are our biggest cities, what our engagement rate is. Like he can tell you all that shit. And I just tell him, tell me what to do. I'm a talent. I'm on air. Show me, tell me what we're going to talk about.
What made you guys decide to go a different route than usual, than bringing on guests and just sticking to the three of you? I love it because it shows, how great it is. But that's a major decision. I'm sure you guys had to decide.
It's a huge decision, and it's funny because people hit me all the time and say, "I want to come on your show," and I'm always like, "Have you seen it?
Yeah, have you even watched what we doing?"
Like, dude, we're 15 months in,
Yep.
15 months times 4, and we've never had a guest. So I don't think you'll be the first. We have such great chemistry, and there's already 3 of us. We felt like if we had guests, that it would take away from what we're doing. And we also felt like it's difficult enough to have 3 different opinions. Let's not have 4 or 5. Because then it's going to be a free-for-all. We're just going to be like boxing. So it's kind of better to just have us talking about what we do and how we do it. We're not selling anything. I don't care if you hire me. Kingpin doesn't care if you hire him. Ferrari doesn't care if you hire him. We're doing it out of love. And sometimes guests on podcasts are there to self-promote.
Yeah, trying to sell something.
And we'd have to squash them. And why would I want to do that to somebody like trying to exist in music? So they can start their own podcast.
Now, you do a lot of conferences, as we said. Any events or anything you've got coming up that we can all, circle on our calendar or make sure to come out and see live or anything?
I've actually kind of cleared my schedule. I just did a whole bunch of speaking engagements. I got to speak at MIT with Lupe Fiasco. Lupe has a class at MIT. That's one of the coolest things I've ever done. I just spoke at Music Biz. I just spoke in Portsmouth, which is right outside of Norfolk, Virginia, last weekend. So I'm a little tired, to be honest.
Right.
And the great thing about the internet is I can speak here and anybody who tunes in can hear me. If I'm just in one place, only the people locally can hear me. And while I know it's fun to be able to talk to me afterwards and touch me and feel me and get to really know me, it's really draining for me to do that. And I'm getting older, so I'm trying to last longer, not like shorten my lifespan, to be honest.
How are you reacting? Because you've always been a legend out here anyways, but now you've getting more people walking up to you because the cheat code is making it more popular. Like, how are you dealing with the celebrity status now, I guess?
It's, first of all, it makes me really uncomfortable because it's not something that I want. Like, I really value my privacy. But I can give you a perfect example. Like, I was in Dallas, Texas, I guess about a month ago. And I was there with one of my close friends, and we went to see Slick Rick perform. And Slick is one of my friends. So we watched the Slick and Dougie show. We're on the side of the stage, and it was awesome. We had such a good time. And then we were really hungry. We hadn't eaten all day.
Okay.
So we were, the venue was walking distance to our hotel. So I said to Antonio, let's just walk back to the hotel. And we walked through this area of restaurants. It was like a street where there's just every, you know, every storefront is a restaurant. And there were large seating areas outside. And as I walked along, all I heard was, Wendy, Wendy, Wendy Day. And it was like, oh my God. And I'm trying to have like a really deep conversation with him. And I'm trying to play it off like it's no big deal. And it was very, very, very sweet, but it was also like 2:30 in the morning, and I was tired. I just wanted to eat. We hadn't eaten all day. So it was like, okay, we need to eat at the hotel, because if we eat at one of these restaurants, I'm gonna get swarmed. and I'm not an artist. Like, I'm not looking for that. That's not what I want at all.
Well, I was gonna say, because when you started this, you started behind the scenes. You started trying to help people. But as the more I've learned in life, the more you help people, the more God lifts you up too. So like your stardom is what it is because you've given so much game. Like we can You've got the 10 steps to release a record that anybody watches this live. Go to YouTube. If you don't follow those steps, don't be mad when your record's not getting tracked or you can't get paid because you didn't.
You gotta monetize this. Most people just want the fame. It's funny. I'm sitting here bitching and telling you I don't want the fame, and I'll bet everybody watching this is like, "Are you crazy? I'd kill for that." You know. But if you get the eyeballs on you, or more in your artist, so the ears on you, you want to monetize that, and you want to make sure that you profit because you want to be able to feed your family doing this. You know?
Yeah. Now, you always speak about the differences between independent and major artists, and as we discussed, the way the game is now has changed a lot. Has your thoughts changed any on ways artists should be pursuing this? Should they go independent or, you know, major? In your opinion, has anything changed with the changes of the music industry?
I'm still a fan of independent. I always will be, provided you've got the know-how and the money and the entrepreneurial ability to do this, because it's hard. This is not easy. But if you don't need a record label, I recommend that you continue to do this yourself, because then you've got ownership, you've got control. You know, you can hire the same people that the labels hire to get you to the next level. And we're in an environment where you've got to tell the story. People have to know who you are. They have to be able to connect with you. You have to build a community. And not all the labels get that. So really, if you understand how to break an artist and you're successfully doing it, you're a little bit ahead of the major labels, because they have a little bit of lag time. I always compare them to cruise ships, right? And indies are jet skis. On a jet ski, you can run circles around the ocean liner, right? But an ocean liner is big and heavy, and it takes forever to turn and find a new path. But then on the flip side, if you're gonna go all the way, like across the ocean, you don't want to be on a jet ski. You want to be on an ocean liner. So there's different needs for different goals. And if your goal is to be the next Ed Sheeran or the next Rihanna or the next Drake, you almost need a major label to help you get to that level. But you should start out independent first, learn how to do it, and build enough leverage so that when the major labels come to you, they offer you a deal that makes financial sense for you.
And it's like you always talk about too with major labels, like people rush. I got friends that have major label opportunities distribution, but they don't have the advance. And people will get mad about that. I'm like, but what, you want a loan? Like all advances is a bank loan. They're gonna, like, you know, but I love how you always talk about that, because I think artists have a misconception sometimes about what really goes on in the music industry versus what they've heard or they believe. So, you know, I give credit to that. Any other types of thing for artists like now that you're paying attention to that they may not be watching, or they heard something wrong over these years that's kind of changed? Because I believe we're in a, I believe the industry is shifted right now.
It shifts every 6 months or so. Community matters. So if you're an artist, start building your own community. And what I mean by that is whatever platform you're comfortable with. If you're a gamer, it's Twitch, Discord, you know, wherever Reddit, wherever you are comfortable building a community, do that. Even Telegram, you know, I've got a client, we're about to start building his community on Telegram, you know. Go where you're comfortable, learn how that platform can help you grow as an artist, and then go all in. You know.
So you mean you mean, Wendy Day, I got to put myself on all the platforms? I just can't put it on Instagram. I can't just put it on TikTok.
You need to be where your fans are. So you need to be on as many platforms as you can. And then the second thing that has really changed, sometimes people misunderstand when I tell them to keep 100% ownership. There have been a lot of artists where the investors have stepped to them and said, okay, I'll put up $250,000 to help you get to the next level, but I need to have some ownership at least until I make my money back, and then we can renegotiate. And I've seen artists say, no, if I can't own my masters 100%, fuck you. And I'm like, wait a minute, 100% of nothing is not as valuable as, you know, a percentage, 50%, 75% of something. And if the person is willing to renegotiate and put that in the contract, why would you not want them to get their money back when they're investing in you? I don't know about you, but I've never had somebody walk up to me and say, hey, Wendy, here's $1 million because I believe in you. And look at my track record. I mean, look at my fucking track record. So if that's rare, why would you not want to help them get their money back if you have the ability to renegotiate to a more fair deal once they've recouped and made a little bit of a return?
I think a great example of how you're supposed to really do it is Yo Gotti. Like, people don't realize he took multiple deals throughout his career, gave percentages throughout the way, but it didn't matter because every time he got the deal, he worked harder than he was supposed to. They didn't anticipate him. He set the bar higher and higher, so every time the deals got bigger. Like, so I mean, you can do it the right way.
Example, you know, because he worked so hard, even when the labels shelved him, he never stopped. He kept going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. And then he started signing other artists, and in a world where most rapper-owned labels suck ass, he does not. Like, the artists that he signs go on to do really great things, and that's so rare.
Now, in your opinion, because you've seen it all, do you think it's because of the team around it? Like, you got a lot of major players with this movement now helping them. You know, you always speak about teams. So how important is the team?
The team is so important. The team is so important. I mean, really, the artist is the brain. So if the artist, which is the head, the brain, and the heart, really, they're the passion and the leadership. If they're not 100% all in, nobody else is going to be. Nobody's going to work harder than you as an artist. But I think once the team sees the artist going balls to the wall, then they start going balls to the wall. And the thing that I learned about having a team for me, like hiring people, because it took me 25 years to start hiring staff, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I learned, and I learned this when I hired just one person, even though there were two of us, it was like three.
Yeah.
And then when I hired a third person, it was like having five. And then when I hired a fourth person, it was like having 10. Like it's exponential, the amount of work that you get done and the camaraderie and the bond that you build with those people. It's really, really, really special.
Yeah. Now you've done a lot of amazing things. Have you thought about creating your own university? Have you thought about, you said you were at MIT, like I can really see a rap coalition course, like people take it in college. If you want to be in the industry, like you have to take this manual, because
I haven't. And I love that you asked that. And the reason that I haven't is because I find that most artists don't want to learn. They don't want to go to rap university, you know. They want to perform and they want to be famous. And I could set up a university, but I would just be setting up a school for people that want to come in, learn how to do it in order to pimp artists. And that's not my goal. But what I am doing is I'm in the process now of setting up an incubator. It's really an accelerator, but our world doesn't understand the difference, so I call it an incubator. But I'm in the process of getting the funding for that now so that I can bring in artists that have some money and some skin in the game, and then hold their hand, invest in them, have the company, the incubator, invest in them, and really show them how to do it. And I think that's going to be the solution, because I love working with artists, with investors, but it's really hard having two opposite opinions. Sometimes the investor wants the artist to do things they don't want to do because they're looking at the money. And then sometimes, you know, vice versa. Artists think, oh, you should spend money over here. And the investor's like, no, I don't see the value in that. So I feel like if the artist has more control and they're a little more entrepreneurial, that we can really help people get to the next level. And then once they leave after a few years, they'll leave with 100% ownership of their masters and their publishing.
Salute to Clinton Sparks. Yeah, I was just about to mention, you know, you were on his podcast recently, and I was checking out. He's got 36 videos he put out to help people. And Wendy Day, I'm looking through all the videos, and here you are, giving more game.
I'm there. Anybody that's helping artists, I'm with. Like Nick D's podcast, there. Indiepreneur, there. Like anybody that's really, Ari Takes a Stand, like anybody that's really helping artists. And it doesn't just have to be rappers. Like anybody, Martin Atkins, like I build relationships with the people that think like I think. Because just like I said, when I hired my first team member, 2 of us became 3. 3 of us felt like 5 people. When we're teaching and it's just me and one other person, Brandman Sean, great example. You know, there was a time where I was calling him for advice. He was calling me to share information, and it made both of our videos like 10 times stronger. JR McKee, he was in my office yesterday. Like the folks that are really genuinely sharing with people, I want to help them. I want them on my team, and I want to be on their team.
You were on Ray Daniels as well, the GOAT Show, another one of our family. I'm excited that you guys are out here giving real game, because there's so many charlatans, there's so many people, YouTube courses,
and we're not selling anything. You know, like God bless anybody that buys a cheat code mug. I love that, because it costs us a lot of money to film and make the cheat code. But we're doing it out of the love. You know, Ray Daniels is a great example, because Ray is somebody that I mentored when he first came into the industry. And now he mentors me. That's who I call when I have songwriting questions or publishing questions, because he's living the life, you know? I love that.
Yeah, that's dope. Now, like you said, you have the, we have the events coming up, the cheat code. Do you have any other things that you're going to be doing besides the cheat code, or anything like that we can?
Yes. I'm actually going to start another podcast. You mentioned
Wow.
about interviewing people. So I want to interview people in the music industry, but I'm going to be a little bit stank about it. I'm not going to let people come to me and offer to come on my show. I have a list of 100 people that I want to interview in the music industry that I see what they're doing and what they're contributing. And I'm just going to like knock them off one at a time and then start putting out the podcast. So you're going to see me interview artists that are entrepreneurs, people like La Russell, Killer Mike, and then you're going to see me start interviewing people in the music industry, both from my generation and this generation, so that everybody can learn from what they're doing to win and what did they do wrong? Where did they bang their head? Like I learn more. If you tell me where you failed, I'm going to learn far more than if you tell me where you succeeded, you know? And that's what I want this to be. I want it to be a sharing of information. And if people can't do that, then I just won't have them on the show.
Yeah, and that is good. And you can imagine the level of people you will be bringing on there. It's a master class with Wendy Day. Like that would sell, it would sell a hotcake. Not that you're worried about selling it, but that would that would be
free. Yeah.
Now, you also have artists. Shout out to Digital Radio Tracker. I've seen one of the artists you're helping right now was #1. So I want to get into, you've always been a big supporter of Digital Radio Tracker. So how did you guys meet and what makes you, like support it as much as you do?
So when I was coming up back in the 90s, underground radio and college radio was it. That's where we broke artists. So the biggest hip hop fans, that's where they hung out because that's where all the new music was. You know, commercial radio is really what the labels are paying them to play. So it's not really the best music, it's the music with the biggest budget. So underground radio and college radio were king to me. And then all of a sudden it didn't matter anymore. Not to say it didn't matter, that's not fair, but it didn't matter as much. Like today it's not as relevant as it was in the 90s, but internet radio is. So if you want to hear artists that you don't hear anyplace else, that's the place to be. Well, the problem with internet radio before Digital Radio Tracker, I couldn't tell if a station had 4 people listening or 4,000 or 400,000. So I didn't want to spend the money to promote because you couldn't tell. Like you can't tell who's listening, and they're all over the world. Like, are all their listeners in India, but not in the region where I'm marketing and promoting? So I didn't really pay attention to web radio. And then along came Digital Radio Tracker, and it started to track the music so that I could see where it was getting played, how many times it was getting played, and it can even give an idea of the impressions based on the algorithm. So I'm like, okay, if I can tell that somebody's really spinning this, and I know that there's 500,000 people watching or listening, okay, this makes it a little more realistic. Now I want to be there. And that's the thing that made me love internet radio. And that's what Digital Radio Tracker brings to the table. And it's a very affordable way to market and promote.
We just had Michael on the Next Level DJ call. Shout out to Mad Dog. And Michael was talking about how he was in a conference for radio stations, and there's all internet radio left. It's not that many terrestrial stations left.
Yes, it's true. And it really matters. So I can't explain to you why it matters, but I can tell you that for the songs that I've promoted to internet radio for my clients, those songs are the ones that do better streaming wise. They're the ones that, whether it's SoundCloud, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, they're always my client's strongest performing songs. So I can't logically tell you, why it works, but I can see that it is. So I do it.
Now, you've seen a lot of artists in your career. What do you think is one thing that helped separate a successful artist from a non-successful artist? Like, I know there's great music. Okay, so music is the top one?
Yeah, music is absolutely. Absolutely. People listen to music because they like it.
Yeah.
You can't make somebody like your music. I can get people to listen to your songs through marketing and promotion, but I can't make them like it. And sometimes artists don't realize that not everything they do and create makes people
Yeah.
connect with them.
Yeah.
You
Facts.
know? And you could think that you made the greatest song in the world. One of my favorite songs by an artist named Trouble
Yeah.
is
Salute
the
Trouble.
song that we put out, and God bless the dead. He died a year ago today.
You did.
But the song that I like the most by him is his least popular song that we
Facts.
put out.
Yeah.
And
Facts.
that's just it's mind blowing to me. Like, everybody has different taste. You know, everybody has different tastes. So you've just got to put out great music that the fans like. If you're doing this to earn a living. If you're doing this, like if you're working for UPS and you're putting out music because you just love it, don't listen to anything that I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Put out whatever you want and market and promote it. But if you're doing this because you want to be part of the music business and you want to feed your children and your children's children's children, then you got to treat this like a business.
Yeah. So getting a lot of love for Trouble. I wanted to, highlight that because you had a major part in his success, and you were behind the scenes with it. Like, if you didn't know, you weren't, didn't know. So how did you and Trouble meet, and what was it about him? Because I've been in personally too, that made him be someone you wanted to help as much as you did. He was a great person.
His charisma. But the reality is, he is one example of where I got to choose who to work with. Little Donald, LaRussell. I don't usually get to choose because not everybody has the budgets that we need to be successful, right? And I was working with an investor out of Chicago, and his artist flaked on him. And he called me and he said, Wendy, I don't know what to do. My artist just disappeared. What do I do now? And I said, well, let's find another artist. And he said, okay. So he asked me to look around the country and see who was killing it. And this was, I don't remember the year, but Troy Ave was the biggest artist out of New York independently. Problem was killing it out of the West Coast. And Doe Beasy was really doing his thing out of, I think, Houston is where he was based. So we were looking at working with those three. And then I remembered Trouble because Trouble had blown up in Atlanta. He had a song called Bussin', which did amazing. And then he just disappeared. And I was kind of friends with Bank. I wasn't kind of friends. I was friends with Bank from Duct Tape. And I didn't understand why they weren't really working together. So I set up meetings for the investor from Chicago to meet Trouble, and he signed him on the spot. Like, he loved the charisma. He loved the music that Trouble was creating at that point in time. And the rest is history. The hardest thing to do is bring somebody back. So a lot of what drove me was my friends in the industry saying that won't work. He did Bussin', he disappeared. You can't bring somebody back.
And brought him back.
And I'm like, why? Like, nobody could tell me why. They could just say it never happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try, and we did it.
Well, that's why that's why you are who you are, because when other people say it's not possible, it's like you're challenged. Like, oh, you don't think I can do this? I'm gonna go do this and prove you wrong. So I mean, it just makes you all your. There's a lot of people
competitive.
But you seem so polite. Like, you wouldn't know you're a tag dog and ready to get. Now, there's a lot of people who support you. What can we do to help you? Like, what's the best way for your fan supporters to give back to you for all the game and information you've given us?
I think the best way, because really what matters most to me is artists learning how to do this. So the best way for somebody to show me love or to thank me for what I'm doing isn't to reach out and thank me, although I love that. It's just not why I do this. If each person were to go and share the information that, not everything, because nobody's going to believe everything, right? So whatever resonates with you that I'm saying, share that with an artist, share that with somebody that's trying to be successful. That's really the best way, because my goal is to educate all artists, and I can't reach everybody. So if you want to show me love, that's the way to do it. You want to hate on me? Don't share it with anybody. That would really hurt me more than anything.
You have definitely given so much opportunities to people. You've changed my life with the information. And this first time we're meeting. Stop Beefing Radio newsletter. We got the cheat code added because we love what you and Kingpin are doing, man. Any shout outs you want to give to people before we get out of here? I know you're busy, so I'm not going to take too much more of your time, but people in the early days that supported you, or, you know, the team you have now?
Everybody supports me, and I love everybody. And my fear in shouting people out is that I'm going to leave somebody out, you know, and that's worse than the upside to shouting people out. But I really want to shout out my team, the people that have ridden with me since day one. You know who you are. There's a lot of people that have jumped on the bandwagon because they thought that my name would co-sign them and bring them, you know, whatever. And they found out that it's real work and they didn't want to do the work. You know, there's a lot of people that ended up resenting me because they felt like either they should be in my position or I should just help them for free forever or whatever, you know? So a lot of people pass by the wayside, but the reality is when somebody really helps you and shows you love, it costs you nothing to show love back. So do it, you know, just do it.
Now, if there's a young entrepreneur or a young artist and they want to help, I always talk about giving back and giving something of value to that person. So what's your thoughts on that? Like, if I'm trying to build a relationship with Wendy Day, what's some of the things I could initially do to show you that I'm here for the long haul and not just really trying to build off your name?
I think one of the things is to absolutely reach out and build a relationship, because if somebody just emails me out of the blue and says, I love what you do, I want to help you, that they know what they do, but I don't.
So
you have no clue. I don't even know how to best utilize. So if somebody sends me a resume and explains what they do and what they're trying to do, and I feel like they're simpatico, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with them. It doesn't mean that we'll be a fit, but we'll have a conversation, you know? And most of the people that I hire are people that I've watched from afar, or people that have impacted me by a move that they made. My most valuable employee is a guy who brought me donuts when I was speaking at the Core DJs retreat. And I hadn't eaten, and he walked up and he's like, you know, here's some donuts. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to bring you something. And he's like, have a nice life. And he walked away. He didn't want anything in return. And I watched him as I was sitting there with my staff. We were, you know, we were on a panel. We were educating the team. 2 hours into it, when it was over, I went down to him and said, hey, can I have your phone number? And he's like, yeah. And he thought I would never call him. And 2 weeks later, I called him and asked him to come meet with me. And when I met with him, I was so impressed with how he thinks and how spiritual he is and what a great human being he is. I hired him on the spot. I didn't know what job he would do.
You created a job for him.
And here we are 3 years later, and he's the most valuable person on my team. Like, how crazy is that? He does more work than everybody else combined.
And he's probably the humble one in the back. He's probably not the most boisterous person in the club. Like, I'll leave with this, because a lot of people think the people who move and shake in the industry are the ones that are flashy in the club. But from my experience, they're all hanging out in the back of the club. Nobody knows
the people you don't.
They don't know us. You don't know us. We just back there chilling. But little do you know, that phone call could change your life.
That's real. That's real.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, do anything.
Like, I love that you're educating artists. I love what you guys are about. Thank you so much for being you.
Thank you. Well, Stop Beefing Radio, Hype Magazine. Anything we can do to help you, the cheat code, never hesitate to ask. And like I said, we love everything you're doing. You've saved a lot of people from bad deals, and I know you're going to do more. So thank you.
When this posts, would you send me a link to it? Because I'd really like for Blaine in my office to see this because that's who I'm talking about.
Okay.
And he doesn't get enough flowers.
I'll send you a clip of him, this spot for him directly for you.
I would love that.
All right.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Have a good night.
Okay, love. Thank
Look.
you. Bye, everybody.